Greetings, and welcome to the online video service for the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos, New Mexico. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. As a congregation, we honor the inherent worth and dignity of each person, and we celebrate the interdependence of all life. We come together to learn from each other, to draw inspiration from many sources, and to work together to create communities of greater justice and compassion. I'm Sue Watts, your worship associate for the day. Our minister, the Reverend John Cullinan, is away on sabbatical, and during his absence, we will be celebrating and hearing from a wonderful variety of pulpit guests. Today, I'm delighted to introduce Jenny McCready, the Reverend Jenny McCready from Lakewood, Colorado. Jenny just completed seminary at Meadville Lombard Theological School, and she has completed an internship with the Jefferson Unitarian Church of Golden, Colorado. She hopes to be a Unitarian minister by the end of the year. She will be delivering 4 sermons to our congregation during John's sabbatical, but will take the month of August off to get married. It seems she's following her own advice from her sermon, just pick something. We know she picked well. Welcome, Jenny, and welcome to you all.
Good morning, my friends in Los Alamos. I am Jenny McCready, joyfully returning to your pulpit today. I visited last year virtually. I'm here in my home in Lakewood, Colorado. I am so delighted to be with you all today as we share some sacred time together. Please join me in creating a space to honor mystery, a space to be together as a spiritual community, and a space to take a breath. Join me in just being in our bodies for a minute. We are called into worship this morning with the words of one of my professors, a minister of color, the Reverend Leslie Takahashi. Reverend Leslie writes, "Here, in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here, in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here, in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn towards justice. Here in this space made sacred by memories of connection, let us each feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of years. Come, let us worship together. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light yours with me as I light my chalice, or today it's our chalice. Come, let us worship together.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, 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 oh yeah yeah.
Our affirmation pulls us together as a community by defining our core beliefs. I invite you to join us in speaking these words.
Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all.
No words have been written in our virtual book of joys and sorrows this week, but we all carry within us songs of joy and hope and tears of sorrow and loss. So let's take a moment now, as the candles burn in our sanctuary, to bring to our minds and hearts whatever we are feeling today. In a time of shared silence, let us lift up the brokenness and the wholeness, the endings and the beginnings, the beauty and the struggles of our lives, knowing that together we can be instruments of peace and hope and love.
This morning, my friends, as we transition from the new life and possibilities of springtime and into the long hot days of summer, we pause to be here now. We pause to give thanks for this moment that we are blessed to have together. please join me in a spirit of prayer and a moment of noticing. Blessed Spirit, we come together today in gratitude, remembering that we have the gift of life, noticing our breath that sustains us, aware that beauty surrounds us, remembering that joy is all around us and just waiting for us to notice. Just as the dandelions continue to grow up through the cracks in the sidewalk and stretch their leaves and flowers towards the sun, may we too remember our strength and our resilience. May we be grateful for our faith that teaches us that we have agency and that our lives make a difference. Help us to live in that hope, the hope that we are co-creating with the universe. Holy oneness, force of life and love that flows within us and among us, we long for the time when we will be together again. Sustain us in the knowledge that this too shall pass. Help us to remember that we were made for these times, that we were made to feel discomfort and to grow, and also that we were made for rest. Help us to remember that all we can do is the next best thing. Love each other, be patient, breathe deeply, and be grateful. Blessed be, and may it be so.
Hey guys, how many of you like to try new things? I'm trying a new thing right now by filming outside at our church. It can be fun to try new things, and sometimes it can be scary too. Trying new things is definitely an adventure. It is like a choose your own adventure book. You get to try the things you are interested in doing. By trying new things, you might also learn a lot and grow a lot. Maybe you and your family want to try and have a new pet living with you, like a new dog. Having a new pet in your house is definitely a commitment and a promise to take care of the dog. You have to work hard at taking care of the dog, right? So you make a commitment or a promise to that dog to take care of it. Committing to something like a dog can be hard sometimes. Like when you have to scoop up the dog's poop, or when the dog gets sick, or when you have to potty train the dog. Promising to take care of the dog can be hard, but it can be also very joyful and fun. Like when you get to play with the dog and cuddle with the dog and take the dog for walks or do tricks with the dog. That's pretty fun. Well, you make commitments and promises too. We have our UU principles that are like our promises of how we want to be with our friends in our community. 2 of those promises are yearn to learn. That's one of our UU principle promises. And another one is grow by exploring ideas and values together. So those are some of our UU promises we make. We promise together to learn and grow by trying new things. And sometimes these new things can be hard. And sometimes they can be fun and exciting, right? Some of you might be trying our new UU garden program. In this program, you will make a promise to the plant you are growing, to take care of it. That is definitely a big commitment or promise to make. And you will learn a lot about yourself, the environment. You'll learn more about the plant you are growing, learn how to be patient, and learn about other friends in the program too. You might even make a new friend. So this summer, I encourage you to try something new and put some time and energy into making a promise or commitment to the new thing you are trying. You might even learn and grow in the process. So say after me, I will try. Now you go. I will try. And also say after me, I promise to learn and grow in my life. Your turn. Awesome. So I will see you next time. And keep learning, keep growing, keep trying new things. Bye.
Our reading today is from the Unitarian Universalist minister Paul Racer, from his book Faith Without Certainty. Reverend Paul Racer writes, "Liberal theology is not for the faint of heart. It points us in a general direction without telling us the specific destination. It refuses to make our commitments for us, but holds us accountable to the commitments we make. The liberal religious tradition is an invitation, not a mandate. It invites us to live with the ambiguity without trying to control the conversation, to be open to change without accepting change too casually, to take commitments seriously but not blindly, and to be engaged in the culture without succumbing to the culture's values. Liberal religion calls us to strength without rigidity, conviction without ideology, openness without laziness. It asks us to pay attention. It is an eyes wide open faith, a faith without certainty."
Are you working on something new?
No, I'm not working on anything new.
That is not like you, George.
I've nothing to say.
You have many things.
Well, nothing that's not been
Said
said.
by you, George.
I do not know where to go.
Not did I.
I want to make things that count, things that will be
I did
new.
what I had to do.
What am I to do?
Stop worrying where you're going. If you can know where you're going, you've gone. You keep moving on. I chose and my world was shaken. So what? The choice may have been mistaken. The choosing was not. You have to move on. Look at what you want, not at where you are, not at what you'll be. Look at all the things you've done for me. Open up my eyes. Taught me how to see. Notice every tree.
Notice every tree.
Understand the light.
Understand the light.
Concentrate on
I want to move on. I want to explore the light. I want to know how to get through to something new, something on my own.
Make that decision, they usually do. You have to move on. Look at what you've done.
Something in the light, something in the sky, in the grass, or behind the trees.
Think of all the things you gave to me.
Things I hadn't looked at till now. Flower on your hat and your smile.
I would be so pleased.
Color of your hair and the way you catch the light and the care and the feeling and the light.
that will be new. Give us more to see.
That beautiful rendition of Move On was sung by Laura Lizzett and the Reverend Keith Arnold, the minister of music at Jefferson Unitarian Church in Golden, Colorado, where I just finished my internship. That song is from the musical Sunday in the Park with George. In the musical, in the story, George is an artist, and he's struggling to be relevant, and he's struggling to be known. He laments that his commitments to perfecting his painting have failed, and he realizes that he's paid a price for his pursuit of perfection. He sees a vision, it's a musical, you can see a vision, of Dot, his old girlfriend, and that part of Dot was sung for us by Laura Lizzett. Dot encourages him to value the choices he made and the fact that he made them. Dot reminds him that there's value in being committed, even if it wasn't ultimately successful. She sings, "The choice may have been mistaken, the choosing was not." Today, I'm exploring commitments. I'm thinking about how we make choices, what decisions we make, how we try to avoid decisions, and the possibilities that emerge when we're willing to go ahead and make a commitment. Commitments are really where the good stuff happens. They're why we invest in a musical instrument and some lessons. That's a commitment. And then we practice every day. They're why we put our money and our time into our education or our children's education. We know the value of commitment. We know when we adopt a new puppy instead of just visiting puppies at the shelter, that commitment has value. During the pandemic, a record number of people did just that. They made the commitment to a new pet. And we're hoping that most of them realize that they may have just made a 10 or 15-year commitment to be responsible for that little life. Many of us know that the commitment of adopting a pet probably means cleaning up some messes, maybe some chewed shoes, spending money, a little bit or a lot, and it probably means losing some sleep, being up in the night with a new animal. But most of us take that risk, and we are willing to make those sacrifices. And we do it because we want to reap the benefits of deepening our relationship with that one animal. We do it even if we've done it before and we know what's coming. We know that the commitment that we have to that relationship will allow us to really bond, and that is where the rewards lie. I remember reading an article once where a psychologist pointed out that the parent who does the most child care usually has the deepest bond with the children. It's that day and night, year after year commitment that allows children to trust and love their primary caregiver the most. And this doesn't just apply to relationships with children and animals. Commitment to our education, our work, our partners, our art is how we really reap the benefits. And we yearn for the spoils of commitment. This is proven by all the divorced and widowed people who get remarried. People who know how difficult marriage and loss can be, and yet are willing to risk it again. Many people choose to have a second or third child, even after they know how hard parenting can be. Sometimes we take on things that we know will not be easy. We know they won't always be smooth sailing and sometimes downright dreadful. But without commitment, we drift untethered. We never really get to reach that proficiency or that deeper level of understanding or learning or love. Sometimes us humans, we shy away from commitments because we're feeling precious about our time or our resources. Other times we're afraid to invest in something, to commit to something, because we know it might not succeed. We think, well, if that's not good enough, then why do it? Our culture embraces perfectionism, and perfectionism can really hold us back from taking risks and growing our hearts. For example, we might hesitate to join a church because we know that putting ourselves out there means we risk running up against difficult, challenging people and situations. It's likely that committing to a faith community is sometimes going to hurt. It's going to push our buttons. There may be conflicts and hurt feelings and frustrations. People will probably misbehave. They do it all the time, or should I say, we do it all the time. And in the context of Unitarian Universalist churches, ours is a free faith. We get to determine our level of commitment to our faith community. But if we let our aversion to discomfort or our pursuit of perfection keep us on the sidelines, what do we miss? If we don't invest ourselves, we miss opportunities to be shaped and changed by community. In our modern culture, we have a propensity for ghosting each other. It's become socially acceptable to shy away from conflict or discomfort and just to disappear. I know that sometimes it's appropriate and it's best to leave unhealthy situations. And each of us gets to determine that line between commitment and self-preservation. But I also know that if we don't pick something and give it some dedication and some tolerance, some willingness to make sacrifices, then we're not really in the game. We don't really get to reap those benefits that come from really giving ourselves to something. We can spend our time instead endlessly searching and missing opportunities to go deeper. When I was a young adult, I felt immense pressure to pick the perfect career path. I kept changing my major, trying one thing after another, and then I even moved to different places in search of the best vocation and the perfect project to put my whole life towards. That's a lot of pressure, but I'd been raised to think that by the time I was a senior in high school, I should know which career was going to carry me through my adult years, be fulfilling, be good for the world, and be the best use of my talents. And of course, prosperous as well, because that's the value that we're taught. It took me the next 30 years, and it was a twisting, winding road, but now I'm 50, and now I have landed in something that I've made a commitment to. But it took me all those years. But now I know, well, that caused me so much distress, that was my path. It led me here, and therefore it was the right path. How can we expect to look ahead and pick the perfect path? Especially if you're a young person and you're still learning who you are. We all make our best guesses, but sometimes we pursue the wrong partner, the wrong degree, or like George in the song, we just don't choose the right priorities. And we might think that our lack of clarity means that something's wrong with us. But that's not true. It's okay to be unclear. We don't know the final outcome, and we don't know all the answers. That's the adventure. If we get too uptight about finding our path, if we resist making commitments, we end up drifting, unanchored, with all the freedom in the world, and yet frustrated, unable to fully explore and use our gifts and get deeper with our relationships or with our skills, with our potential. Paulo Coelho wrote a book called Brida, and the main character in Brida is a young Irish woman who expresses her fear of committing herself. Coelho writes, she wanted to follow all possible paths and so ended up following none. Coelho talks about two attitudes that we can choose from in approaching commitment. He says we can be builders or we can be planters. He writes, builders might take years over their tasks, but one day they finish what they're doing and find they're hemmed in by their own walls. Life loses its meaning when the building stops. For those who plant, the planters, he says, they endure storms and all the many vicissitudes of the seasons, and they rarely rest. But, unlike a building, a garden never stops growing. And while it requires the gardener's constant attention, it allows for the life of the gardener to be a great adventure. He says, gardeners always recognize one another because they know that in the history of each plant lies the growth of the whole world. Whether we are builders or gardeners, we might make the same choices, but the difference will lie in our willingness to be open to the outcome, to be flexible, to be willing to relax into choosing the next best thing. If we think like a builder and we try to surmise the perfect thing to build, the end all, the thing that will make us happy, well, it's no wonder we get frustrated. That's an impossible task. Life grows like a garden. It's our choice whether we see it as a builder or a gardener. If we choose to approach our work as a garden, we leave ourselves open to all the bugs and the hail and the challenges of unpredictable living things. We come in knowing that we will never be finished. We know that gardening goes in cycles, that we may have an abundant harvest or not. But we do our best and we find value and hope in the endless story that we are contributing to. We must remember that when we commit to something and we accomplish our goal, it's likely that the accomplishment itself is not going to be a source of happiness. It is our willingness to show up and put our hearts into our work that determines our contentment and our satisfaction. I think about all the people with degrees they don't use. Those who are builders lament the wasted time and money, while the gardeners appreciate the discipline and the determination it got to get their unused degree. The value is in the learning and the experience of fulfilling their commitment to earning a degree. It helps that gardeners don't stop living their lives while they're fulfilling their commitments. They remember the words of John Lennon, that life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. It's a great quote because it counters perfectionism, the obsession we have with big plans and big accomplishments, and it reminds us that life is always just sitting there in the corner, waiting for us to notice it. That's the gardener attitude, to stay present, to stay open, to stay willing. It builds our resilience. Just pick something. Go with the flow. Have faith that this is the next best thing, that you are on your perfect path even when it's winding and it has fits and starts. It's all learning, and it's all part of the divine mystery that we hold at the center of our UU faith. Like our little stick figure in their story today, it is okay to do things, and it's okay to not be the best at them. It is okay to try lots of things. It's even okay to make a commitment and then find out we need to change course. It's okay to change. It's okay not to know exactly what to build or to find that we built the wrong thing. But what's not okay is not trying, staying uncommitted. Our faith, we can do that, but we won't reap the benefits that come with picking something and sticking with it and being open to the challenges. Our faith doesn't mandate that we make the perfect choices and have perfect outcomes, but it does ask us to do the next best thing, to keep moving forward, learning, growing. As Paul Racer reminded us in our reading today, our liberal theology asks us to, quote, take commitment seriously, but not blindly, unquote. It's a tall order, to be accountable, but not rigid, to be willing to weather the storms and also to continually revisit our commitments. This is our spiritual journey, to find our core compass and the consciousness that helps us to navigate our choices. Kenny Rogers said it well when he said, know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. I think that is actually the bottom line about commitment. It's about thoughtful and conscious discernment. It's about putting yourself in the game, but then also being willing to notice when it's time to change. We are called to move around our gardens with a lightness, to cultivate resilience and continue our never-ending and joyful work of building community, caring for others, hanging in there through the storms and the hard times. Today, as we approach the first days of summer, we're hoping that this is the beginning of the end of the global pandemic. As we move into another time of change, may we cultivate our wise discernment, our tenacity, our resilience. May we remember that we are loved and that we are enough. May we have faith and courage in the lightness of being to allow us to move on. Blessed be, and may it be so.
The offering for the month of June will be collected on behalf of the Los Alamos Juvenile Justice Advisory Board. JJAB strives to help youth and their families to feel connected, valued, and recognized. By partnering with other community organizations, JJAB assists with concerns regarding youth and family issues by providing individualized case management, parenting classes, youth activities, and free classes and training. 100% of all monies collected will go to the Juvenile Justice Advisory Board. Please use the link provided in the service notes below or download the Givelify app to your phone or mobile device and select the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos as your gift recipients. May what you give bring you joy. And we thank you.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's
storm can shake my inmost heart, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? While all the time
My friends in Los Alamos, I see the commitment that you have to your spiritual community. That comes through all the way up here north to Colorado. Each of you, by showing up today and joining in worship, you show your commitment to your faith, to your own formation, and to Unitarian Universalism. That's so great. Our lives are precious and they're fleeting, and our faith requires us to keep our commitments to learning and growing. Forgive ourselves when we don't get it right. Take our failures with a grain of salt to just keep going. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it right, but you do have to show up. Your life story may be messy and tangled, or it may be simple and sensible, but whatever it looks like, however you arrived at this place, you are on your perfect path. So go into your week and into your lives and be gentle on yourselves. Remember that your life is unfolding just as it should. Don't be afraid. Go ahead and make a commitment. Let your heart guide you. Go and be blessed and be a blessing. Amen.